Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to kind of steer away a little bit from skincare and makeup and talk about something that is really personal to me, which is my struggle with an anxiety disorder. Anxiety has been talked about a lot recently. Everybody seems to be anxious. And actually the first thing I want to clarify is okay to feel anxious from time to time about things, but it becomes a problem when it kind of takes over your life. And this is what's been happening to me since I was 21 and I'm going to be 37 soon, so for a good 16 years. On my blog today I wrote a post about this, but I wanted to also make a little video where I could tell you maybe more in details the little things that I do alongside conventional medicine to kind of keep the anxiety at bay, or when I'm having a bad day, what I tend to do, what I tend to take, what supplements, what books I read, what kind of exercises, breathing techniques I do. And I thought it could be useful for a lot of you out there. So first of all, obviously I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to diagnose anyone. I'm just telling you what works for me, what has been my personal experience with the generalized anxiety disorder. And I hope, as I said, that can be useful to you too. So the first thing, I had my first panic attack when I was, I think, 21. I was still in Italy. I didn't know at the time that that was a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing. And I think I told my mom that I thought I was having a heart attack if she could take me to the emergency room. And we did get there. And actually, after all the exams came back negative, they told me you just had a really bad anxiety attack. From then, things kind of spiraled a little bit out of control. And I then moved to the UK. Didn't think much of it. I think that the change of scenery kind of did help a little bit. And for a while, I didn't have any more attacks or any more symptoms. And then I started partying a lot and taking stuff I should have been taking. And then it all kind of came back. And so over the 13 years that I've been in the UK, I've been on and off different medication, from antidepressants to anti-anxiety. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder by a GP here. All the medication kind of worked for a while, and then they would stop working, and then there were withdrawal symptoms to stop one and start another one, and side effects. It was a little bit of a nightmare. There's been highs and lows. Until eventually, a couple of years ago, with a new GP, we decided to try a new drug called venlafaxine, which is kind of a newish antidepressant. And that has been working okay for me so far. As I said, that's my personal experience. So obviously, if you're struggling with anxiety, if you think that that is taking over your life, please speak to your GP, go to a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and speak to a professional. So the first step for me was to acknowledge that there was a problem. And once I acknowledged that, I thought, okay, I'm happy to take my medicine to keep my panic attacks at bay and to allow me to actually lead a semi-normal life. But at the same time, I wanted to kind of research what else I could do to kind of make myself feel better. And so one of the first things I did was to kind of completely overhaul my diet. So out went any processed food, any crap food, sugary stuff, and I started learning how to cook from scratch. And one of the books that really helped me was the I Quit Sugar series by Sarah Wilson that a friend recommended to me. And they were extremely interesting, and I really encourage you to go and get them. They're not very expensive. I think they're about 15 quid. You can find them in many bookstores. You can find them on Amazon. And from there, I started actually deriving joy in cooking and prepping my meals, and actually that became almost a cathartic experience for me. A very soothing experience. I would actually enjoy cooking and preparing my food and knowing that I was doing good to myself. So basically what I would do on a day-to-day basis would be cook about, a bunch of vegetables, either boil them, roast them, raw, as you prefer. My grain of choice is buckwheat, so I will always make a few portions that I keep in the fridge and then choose a protein: salmon, chicken, lean beef, sardines, whatever. If you're a vegetarian, tofu, eggs, whatever you fancy. In terms of sugar, obviously I haven't cut out completely. I do have some low fructose fruit, like for example berries are my favorite, raspberry are my kind of fruit of choice. And then I always try to keep a dark chocolate in the house, 85% ideally, so when I'm craving something sweet I will have a couple of squares of that. So the diet for me was really the first step. And being healthy also meant trying to integrate my diet with supplements. So I spent a lot of time researching, going on to forums, see what other people suffering with anxiety were taking. And obviously there were loads of trials and errors. I bought stuff that didn't work for me. It was also, kind of expensive, but unfortunately you need to try on yourself and see if it works for you. So as of now, I know that there are a few things that actually work for me, and I wanted to share them with you. So one of the main thing that if you're suffering with anxiety, you should really take is magnesium. This is the one I take. It's called Life Extension Magnesium L-threonate. I think that's how you pronounce it. Unlike other forms of magnesium, it doesn't really have a laxative effect, so you can take it even in higher doses. They recommend 3 capsules a day, with or without food. I take it at night time, right before bed, because I find that after I take it, within 20 minutes, I pass out. So also if you're struggling with sleep, this is fantastic. It's about, I think, 25 pounds. Then, another thing for sleep is my melatonin. I wrote in my post that this is a little bit of a gray area because it's a hormone. You shouldn't really be taking for long periods of time. What I tend to do, I take it for 2 weeks, 1 milligrams before bed. Then I stop for a month or 2. And then if I'm struggling with sleep again, I will do another little course, a little protocol. It will give you, well, at least it gives me very vivid dreams and sometimes nightmares, but it does help me sleep. So again, if you're struggling with sleep, this is good. Omegas, omega-3 in particular, so fish oil. I recommended you before Bare Biology, which is kind of expensive. It's about almost 50 quid for a month's supply, so not everybody can afford that. So I thought I'd show you a slightly cheaper alternative, which are those. They were about 20 pounds, I think, for 120 soft gels. I take 2 to 3 a day. Great for joints, great for brain, but fantastic. I also take my turmeric for its anti-inflammatory properties. I take it normally in the morning with my breakfast. My kelp to help with my thyroid. And because I was diagnosed with low testosterone and I don't want to start taking hormone replacement therapy as of yet, I'm trying some of this, which is a testo mix. It has fenugreek, aspartic acid, Tribulus terrestris, maca, magnesium, B6, D3. I don't know, it's early days for those, so on those I can't really comment. I've only started taking one a couple of weeks ago. Also, if you have, for example, restless leg syndrome or spasm or cramps, you can spray some of this at night time on your body before going to bed. And it's transdermal magnesium, so it gets easily absorbed into your body. So this is kind of the supplements I'm taking at the moment. Sometimes I would integrate other things if I'm feeling that I'm particular problems, but this is kind of covers pretty much all of them. I also take selenium and zinc. I don't have it here to show you, but I put it on Amazon. On my blog you will have the link to that as well. In terms of books, again on the blog I recommend it. If you want to read one book, is by Sarah Wilson. It's called First We Make the Beast Beautiful. It's a fantastic book for anybody experiencing anxiety, but also for everybody who know people who are struggling with anxiety, and it kind of gives a whole different perspective onto what anxiety means and what it is, and almost kind of gives this idea that it can also be a superpower and not necessarily something horrible. So that's that. I also touched on to how important for me is my me time. I work in contact with people all day long, so for me, when I come home and I'm by myself, that's a moment I treasure. If it's just watching Netflix or doing a face mask or having a bath, but not talking to people for a few hours really helps me to recharge, and I actually crave that time when I come home from work in the evening. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't enjoy spending time with my friends, but I need to recharge my batteries, and that alone time for me is so important. Also, as you can see right behind me, he's been extremely helpful as well in my battle with anxiety. I found him a few years ago. He's moved in with me. His name is Micho. We don't know exactly how old he is, but he came right at a time when I was feeling extremely anxious. He just popped up out of nowhere in my garden. And over the course of a few weeks, he moved in with me. And now I couldn't imagine my life without him. He's super mellow. When he sensed that I'm anxious, he will come and sit on my chest or just purring. And that's extremely, very soothing for me. So I think the pet therapy, obviously, it's not a new thing, but it really works, at least for me. Oh, hello. And one note, please, if you're thinking of getting a pet, do not buy. Go to your local shelter. And there's so many pets that need your love, so please do that, don't buy. And what else? I think that I don't want to get into the kind of more serious approach to it, so I don't really necessarily want to share with you exactly what drugs I'm taking at the moment, but there's an antidepressant that I'm taking. I mentioned it is venlafaxine, but as I said, that needs to be supervised by your GP, by your psychiatrist. I just want to say that I do not demonize people who take psychotropic drugs. In certain cases, they are necessary. In my case, certainly they were necessary because I think I was going insane. So if that's what you and your doctor thinks that you should do, no shame about it. If that allows you to lead a better life, why not? Obviously, always try, which is what I was trying to say in this video, to have a 360-degree approach to it. So yes, you can take your antidepressants, your anti-anxiety, psychotropic drugs, whatever that is, but try to also get to the root of the problem, which would be ideal. Maybe see a psychotherapist, but at the same time, really try and see what your nutrition is like, what your stress levels are like, if you're giving yourself enough time to recharge, if going to the gym can help you. Actually, we didn't talk about that. Gym doesn't particularly help me. I go a couple of times a week. I know that if I push myself too hard, that will trigger anxiety. So I tend to go a couple of times a week, do some light weights. Running again didn't work for me, it made me extremely anxious. I might try again yoga and Pilates and see how they work out for me. But I know that for other people who struggle with anxiety, working out is a great relief of stress and to release endorphin. So if that works for you, that's great. Or even just a walk or go to the park, sit down, read a book, to try and kind of disconnect from everyday problems. So that's that. I hope in some way you can take away some little tips. I did try cognitive behavioral therapy. It was okay. I didn't notice an immense amount of relief or help from it, but again, try for yourself and see what you think. The written post is on my blog on alexinwonderland.net. There you will find all the links to the supplements, to the books, and maybe other few pieces of information that I forgot to mention in this video. And as always, I hope you like it, I hope you find it enjoyable, and I wish you a fantastic day. Bye.